have several healthcare organizations in the community who are working to take healthcare services out to the people who need them. People who may not have access to the transit authority, people who may not even know that there are services available. So we can use those resources to provide more transportation to people to get to their appointments, to do more education. We can use that money just to help intervene in our school districts to make sure that we can help kids where they're in a safe place where they might be able to open up with their teachers and say that I need help with this kind of thing. Because a lot of kids live in a family where opioids are being used and they may not have anyone who can help them. So we need to make sure as a county that we're taking care of all of the people, from our kids to our adults to our seniors, anyone who may be suffering from the opioid epidemic. And because we have this money, we're in a position where we're able to help support agencies and organizations that are already going on. We have an organization in Farrell that is working to help people who are coming out of the prison system to establish the skill sets they need for re-entry back into the community, back into the workforce. This money can be used to assist those people and just to help increase education so that we're taking the services out to those people who need them. Thank you.
Okay, so my question is, what is your number one priority to achieve as commissioner, and how would you achieve it? Well, that's a tough one, because there are so many priorities. At the top of the list has to be our population loss or population decline, because everything pivots top of that. When I'm out going door to door, a common question is, can you get us a Chick-fil-A? And I always say, I'd love to have a Chick-fil-A here, but Chick-fil-A will come when there's population here. We got to solve this population loss. Or what are you going to do about the workforce? We have all these jobs, and we don't have any young people going into skilled trades like they used to. And so there has to be a focus on partnering colleges with trade schools. We have a stigma attached to the trades where you're lesser if you don't go to college and you go into the trades. So I'd like to see Mercer County, with the opportunity with all our colleges and trade schools we have, partner where someone coming out of high school could obtain college accredited classes at the same time they're learning a trade. I think that would be beneficial. On top of that, you've heard a lot about the low cost of living in Mercer County. And I want to be a watchdog as a commissioner to make sure that we're keeping taxes low, that we're reaching out in the community and putting amenities there and quality of life for people who want to stay here, or young people who stay here. But we also have to start attracting outside residents back. We have an opportunity with our seniors and low cost of living to start attracting seniors back to the area. I can tell you over the last week, just going door to door and speaking with people, I have met 5 people that grew up here, moved away, had their careers somewhere else, and then have come back home. So I see that as an opportunity. Plus, our seniors, a lot of them still want to work. And so while we have all these positions open, we could start encouraging and working with programs to get seniors involved, and perhaps they'd like to work a few days a week in some of these positions. So there's a lot to do in Mercer County, but we have to keep cost of living low. We got to keep our young people here. We got to attract new residents, and we have a need for housing. So we have to work with some developers to get some housing back in here. And we have to start attacking the mental health crisis and the drug addiction crisis that we have in some of our areas. I think our coroner here is here tonight. He can attest to how busy he is with overdoses and suicides, which is a real problem in our county right now. Thank you.
13.6% of the population for whom poverty status is determined in Mercer County, PA, live below the poverty line. A number that is higher than the national average of 12.6%. What can you do in your potential role as commissioner to aid the lowering of this number? Well, I think a big part of that is getting these folks back to work. Those numbers are all, that data all comes together. We have over 2,000 jobs in Mercer County we can't seem to fill. But at the same time, our unemployment rate is lower than it's ever been in Mercer County. It's at the same level as the state. So Mercer County is kind of like the bellwether. So I think that's important. And the good news is our Career Center currently has more people at the Career Center that are signed up for classes than we've ever had. So that's a good thing. Tony Miller is the director out there. He just happened to mention that in a conversation recently. I said, wow, that's big news. You know, that's something we should be screaming from the treetops. But in order to lower to reduce your number at the lower end, we've got to help them at the top end. So we have to be able to, our employers, all our small business people, we've got to be willing to pay those people so that they do come to work. So they don't just show up on day one and get a paycheck in 2 weeks and then don't come back. You got to pay people. And if that means reducing your bottom line, so be it. And I don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. Our ambulance service, we haven't had a profit in probably the last 5 years. So there's 4 owners of our company, and none of us have taken a draw on that company in over 4 years. Most people say, well, why would you keep it open? Because it's a very important service to our community. We have family members that work there that they rely on for their living. But most importantly, it's been in our family since 1950. It's not something we want to just let go by. It means everything to us. So what do? We try to find ways to keep our doors open. We cut back and we ask people to do things. But as far as lifting people up, you got to get those folks back to work, fill these jobs that are in our community, and I think that's a good start at it. So I think we have to work at it as a community as a whole. It's not just up to a commissioner. Commissioner's job is important. We have to manage 500 employees. We have to make sure that we're making sure our budget is in a good place. We're going to make sure we maintain our taxes. And over the past 8 years, I'm proud to say I've done that. I promised that I never wanted to raise taxes. We could do it. And we haven't done it. We lowered taxes twice, in 17 and 18. Every other year, we held the line on taxes. And I can tell you by the way the books are now, if we continue this progress, I don't see a reason to raise taxes for the next 4 years, maybe 5. So let's just keep the progress. Thanks.
We have a county treasurer and a county controller. How does the role of a fiscal administrator differ from the functions of these offices? So, the treasurer and the controller are elected positions by the people. The fiscal administrator is a department head hired by the Board of Commissioners. The current setup, the way I believe it to work, is that the fiscal administrator works for the commissioners and helps manage the budget, and then directs the spending based upon the way the commissioners approve it. And that operation runs through the treasurer's office for the checks to be cut, along with the controller's office. It's a little bit of a complicated process from the way I understand it. I think that there's some opportunities to see if anything can be streamlined there, and make sure that things are run as efficiently as possible. But the most important thing to remember is that 2 of those are elected and hired by the people, and that the one is a hire and appointment by the commissioners.
This was much shorter than the last one. Because what does the term economic development mean to you? So a lot of times you'll hear candidates, elected officials throw around the word economic development as if the elected officials actually control that kind of thing. So our job as an elected official is to create an environment for economic development so that businesses can do what they need to do, so that they have employees to hire. So as my colleagues have said, we have a lot of jobs available here in Mercer County, and we need to figure out a way to connect those jobs with people who want jobs and who want to work in this county. So economic development has to do with supporting businesses that are already here. We don't want to always put all of our resources in attracting new businesses. When we have family-owned businesses who've been here for 50, 60 years, we need to make sure we're supporting those people also. We need to make sure that we have the right people with the right training to work in those jobs. So if we have an influx of small manufacturing jobs, we need to make sure that our career center is providing the skills to people who could potentially work in those places. So economic development has to do with things like attracting businesses, making sure you have enough workers, making sure you have enough education to connect them. But you also have to make sure that you have a good quality of life in your area so people want to live there. You can have the most perfect jobs and the best rate of pay, but if no one wants to live in your area, it's hard to attract those people to your community. So economic development also means making sure that you have the right amenities. And whether that's a Chick-fil-A that people always talk about wanting, or whether that is having more of a nightlife kind of situation, if that's something you're looking for you look forward to doing. But economic development encompasses a lot of different things. And fortunately, here in Mercer County, we have a lot of different organizations that are working on economic development that are working better now than they ever have. Over my past 25 years of working in the public sector, sometimes you have economic development agencies that are competing for funds. We're doing a much better job of working cooperatively, and that's not to say that we don't have distinct communities who want to do different things in their, like Greenville likes to revitalize their downtown. Some areas want to do different things in their communities. We have to make sure that we're doing the best for everybody, and that everyone has a seat at the table. Thank you.
So my question is, what is your familiarity with overseeing a multi-departmental or multi-million-dollar budget? Well, I can tell you after building a business, I'm kind of familiar with budgets and wearing a lot of different hats. I'm proud at the same time, but humbled that I was able to start a company with $500 in my pocket. And I've, over the years, grown that company and that business into a multi-million-dollar organization. So I know a little bit about managing millions of dollars. I also, over the years, we've written thousands of contracts for commercial along with residential projects. And so I have a background in not only the trades and construction, but with legal documents and meeting with townships and municipalities on projects over the years. We've literally written thousands of contracts. I think my time and 36 years of being in business has really groomed me for a position like county commissioner. You never, when you own your own business, you have an agenda in the morning, and 12 hours later, you're never where you thought you were going to be. You get a lot of twists and turns. And so you have to be a person that's able to think outside the box. You have to have an imagination. You have to realize you have a legal responsibility, not only to the contracts and your employees. And at the end of the day, you have to get the job done, and it has to be done right. So I feel I have a very strong background that has prepared me for the job of county commissioner. Thanks.
What do you feel the most important quality of a commissioner should be, and describe the quality in yourself? Well, you certainly got to be open to things. A lot of things come your way. I always tell people, when my first day on the job, I was standing at a podium at the intersection of 208 and Route 79, and we were dedicating the interchange to a United States officer or who had been killed in action, Michael McLaughlin. And I remember Matt McConnell was handing me the mic and said, "You're up." Well, I got up there and did my best, and the next thing, an hour later, I'm at the pig barn, the conservation district. And then a little bit later, I'm at the prison, and we're at the prison board meeting. And it's just so many different, you have to be very versatile. You have to be a person that, I think my work, because I was a funeral director and an ambulance driver, I worked with people all throughout the community, so I had a pretty, I met with every walk of life in those jobs. As a funeral director, I was a busy funeral director. I see Bob Snyder back there, he can attest to that. We handle 400 funerals a year, so if you're handling 400 funerals a year, that's more than one a day. And we typically didn't have funerals on Sunday. So you can imagine all the people, throughout the county that I came in contact with. So knowing people, knowing how to talk with people, knowing how to be respectful to people, understanding their needs, understanding what's really troubling them, and having enough resources and networking yourself so that you can find those things. That's what's great about the county commissioner's position. They reserve seats on boards throughout the county. I'm on the regional planning board, I'm on the council of government board, I'm on the West Central Job Partnership Board, I'm on the prison board, and I could go on and name about 10 more boards that I'm on. And what I bring to that table is, because I'm on all these boards, I could be at this one and hear what they need over here, and I can tie all those together. So, that just happened recently. Dr. Traverso, we were sitting in a room, and we needed a speaker up here for the Beast, or what was it, the event we had, and but I just came from a meeting where I knew that there was a good opportunity for that organization to join in. So bringing all those things together, I think that's a really big part of being a commissioner. At the last forum, I said that my colleague Matt McConnell, he liked to say, "Hey, I don't want to hear any excuses. To be commissioner is to be the commissioner. So don't blame it on anybody else. Don't come up with a reason why you can't do something. Find a way to do it. If you can't do it, get somebody else to help you." And that's what we do. Thanks.
Mercer County has not had an increase in its taxes in 10 years, regardless of the reassessment currently going on, which is to be revenue neutral. How much longer will it be before the county has to raise taxes? So that's a good question. It's definitely a concern of mine. I know that the current board has done an excellent job, so they have been able to cut taxes in the past, but with the rate of inflation, the fact that we have 500 employees that have to be able to, have a decent wage to be able to support their families with, there's definitely a lot of concern how long can we hold that. There's some things we can do. I think there's been a lot of talk amongst the four of us about increasing population and promoting growth. Things like that can bring more tax dollars in without having to have a tax increase, and I think that's the best way we can try to avoid any kind of a tax increase. But I think we also have to be open-minded and prepared for what the future could bring. The revenue neutral part is really important. Going from the 2026 year budget into the 2027 year budget, all the municipalities, including the county, will have to maintain that same budget, the same dollar income from 2026 into 2027 by state statute with the tax reassessment. So the new board that's elected is going to have to be extremely diligent with the budget and see where we're at and make sure that we have enough money to make ends meet throughout those 2 years. It's my hopes and intentions to hold the line on the taxes and find alternative ways to keep funding coming in so that we can keep our employees in fair and honest pay. And that can be done through many avenues. That's along with more employees our employees working. Thank you.
The question is, since none of the candidates are from the northern part of Mercer County, how will you work to represent the needs of this area of the county, an area where many people feel it has been overlooked? So that's a good question, because we do get that a lot from individuals who feel like the Shenango Valley dominates Mercer County, or the people in Grove City dominate the eastern side of the county. But I think that one of the things that makes it easier for me to understand the different needs of the county is that I've worked in the public sector and I have worked in the northern part of the county. I've worked here in Greenville prior to working for Teal, and I've had the opportunity to get to know the people who run these townships, who make decisions about which roads are we going to plow, what roads are we going to repair this year. So I think that we just need to make sure that we have the right people at the table, that when we're talking about making improvements around the county, or where should our economic development dollars go, or where should our outreach be, that we have the people from the smaller communities are at the table. I think one of the things the county government can do is to do a better job of communicating with the local governments. I know that that's been one of the criticisms I've heard as I've been out around meeting with the township and the small boroughs, is that they don't hear anything from the county, like they don't know what's going on, and they feel like the county kind of keeps them out of the loop. And as Bill mentioned, the majority of our government work is getting done by the local governments every day. That's where things happen. That's where you decide where you're getting a stop sign, all of those types of things. So I think that in order to understand the northern part of the county, you have to spend time there. You have to go out and talk to the people and really get to know them and find out what their priorities are. And realize that those priorities in the northern part of the county are different from what they are in Mercer Borough, different from what they are in Lackawanna Township. But we have a lot of distinct communities in this county who have their own cultures, their own historical traditions, and we want to make sure that those things are upheld for the future. Thank you.
So the question is, what is the greatest strength in Mercer County, and how can we maximize that strength? I think our greatest strength in Mercer County is the people and who we are. As you heard earlier by my colleagues, refer back to how tough and smart the people in Mercer County are, and how when they're faced with a problem, they rise up to it. So I would say our greatest strength is our people, our young people, and how important it is to start keeping our young people here. Mercer County, when we have this population loss, it's not just people moving away. It's not just loss of bodies on jobs or the loss of tax dollars. It's also a brain drain on our county. We're losing some of our brightest, and that we could really use them here in Mercer County. And so I think one way to attack this population loss is to start reaching out earlier in the community with our young people and get our young folks involved, get them a seat at the table so they feel like they have a voice in the community and they're making decisions. And the ones that are succeeding help to acknowledge that. But the ones that are struggling, we need to recognize that and lift them up. Before I started this, I thought I knew our county, and I've learned so much in the last 9 months. We have children that we do not consider homeless or houseless, that couch surf. They go from home to home. We have some real needs and things to recognize here. I love the idea, as Ann says all the time, when someone's hungry, we feed them. When something is broke, we figure out a way to fix it. I agree with that 100%. But there are people falling through the cracks. So our greatest resource is our people, but we have to make sure we don't leave anybody behind. Thanks.
Some estimates are that 60 to 80% of the municipal budget is fixed expenses. What is one specific example you have of a creative way Mercer County can fund a new program or project? Well, first of all, you have to have 2 commissioners willing to do it. So that's the important thing. I've had plenty of ideas that got shot down. That's one bad thing about being a minority commissioner. But that's the nature of the game. So what do I do? Do I get mad and not work with my commissioners? No. You move on to the next thing. Recently, we have a shortage of firemen in our county. And I heard that throughout the state of Pennsylvania, they're offering tax incentives. And that means that if you're a property owner in Mercer County, and you are a fireman for a volunteer company, that we could exempt you from your property tax. So I thought, that's a good idea. So I took that to my commissioners. They didn't want it. They said they couldn't do it. And I said, okay, maybe if I make it in here another term, there might be a fireman that can help me with that. But anyways, today during the budget, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm looking at my our accounts, and I see that there's our funds. We have a fund that has, it said it was an unencumbered fund, about $4 million. I asked our auditor, I said, what's this here? They said, well, that's just money that's not in the general budget, it's not in capital reserves, it's pretty much, it's just there. I'm thinking, okay, there's your money to do that. So we could start that program. We could fix it, we could work that into the next budget. So who knows? Maybe if I should get in some of these ideas that I've had in the past that didn't fly, we could possibly open up the budget.